I never thought I'd be sitting across from another woman who believed she was married to my husband. Not just some fling, not a late night mistake, but a whole wife, a second life. And the craziest part? She didn't even know I existed. I know, this sounds like something out of a Netflix drama you fall asleep to, but this happened. To me. And if you're new here, hi, I'm Leah. Before we dive into this mess, hit that subscribe button and let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm gonna need all the support I can get before you hear the rest. It started as a simple, sweet idea. I just wanted to surprise Eric at work. Thought maybe a cute lunch, some flowers, a little spark to take us back to how we used to be. I'd even picked up his favorite sandwich, chicken pesto, double provolone. He always said it reminded him of our first beach trip. But sitting there, in that cold cafe, watching her slide her hand across the table, my husband's hand, something cracked. And no, I didn't scream, I didn't cry, I didn't even move. Because in that moment, I knew there was more to this, and I needed to know exactly what. Who she was, how long it had been happening, and most of all, why. I couldn't believe what I was seeing, but I promise, it only gets worse from here. It was just a regular Tuesday, the kind of day that slips by unnoticed, but I wanted it to mean something. I'd woken up a little earlier than usual, tiptoeing around the kitchen in my robe while the sun barely filtered through the blinds. Eric was already off to work, so I thought, why not do something spontaneous, something kind, thoughtful, maybe even romantic. I packed his favorite sandwich, chicken pesto from that little deli near South Street. They toasted the bread just the way he liked it. Golden and warm, with the cheese slightly melted, not too gooey. I even added a slice of that cranberry walnut brownie he'd obsessed over last winter. He said it tasted like December. On the way out, I grabbed a bouquet of fresh white tulips. Not roses, tulips. Because he once told me they reminded him of our honeymoon in Amsterdam, the silly tour with the broken bike chain and the rain that never stopped. I slipped into my favorite beige sweater dress, something casual but soft. Familiar. I queued up that playlist we used to blast on weekend drives, indie tracks, a little Lumineers, some acoustic Ed Sheeran. It felt like a theme song to us. Somewhere in all this, I kept wondering why things had been feeling distant. It wasn't a big thing, just little moments that seemed to disappear. Less I love yous, more silences at dinner. But today wasn't about that. Today was about showing up, about doing the little thing that could make him smile, even if we hadn't been smiling much lately. I even rehearsed in my head what I might say when I surprised him. Just thought I'd drop by and remind you I still pick you. I walked into Eric's office building feeling like a Pinterest board come to life. Perfectly wrapped lunch in one hand, tulips in the other, and practiced optimism tucked in my smile. It wasn't the first time I'd visited him at work, but it'd been a while. Long enough that everyone at the front desk looked surprised. The receptionist, tall, polished, probably just a few years out of college, glanced up at her screen. Her eyes flicked to the lunch bag, then to the flowers, then back to me. And you're here for my husband, Eric Mason. There was a pause, not a long one, but long enough. Her eyebrows slightly lifted, like she was scanning a mental guest list and didn't see my name on it. Then came the little smile, thin, polite, just this side of condescending. Right. One moment. Her fingers hovered over the phone, didn't move. So, you're his wife? She asked, Voice dipped in curiosity, so faint it would have gone unnoticed if I hadn't been holding my breath already. Yes, I laughed, trying to make it natural. Why? Oh, no reason. She finally called him twice, then hung up without saying much. He must have stepped out. You can wait if you'd like. I nodded, found a chair off to the side, and sat, still clinging to everything good this was supposed to be. The music overhead played soft jazz, the kind people assume is relaxing, even when it isn't. Looking back, I should have known from her tone, her face, the weird glances from the guy walking past with a coffee, but I didn't know. Not yet. Because love, when you really believe in it, makes you blind in just the right places.
I don't know how long I was sitting there. Maybe 10 minutes? Maybe 20. Time stopped meaning anything the moment I saw her. She came in through the revolving door like she owned the building. Mid-30s, chestnut curls pinned loosely, long beige trench coat billowing behind her like some Vogue editorial, and that scarf? Deep burgundy, silk, unmistakably expensive. Her whole energy screamed confidence, precision. The type of woman who didn't audition for roles, she just walked into them. I thought she was a client, maybe, one of Eric's high-end accounts, until I saw how she looked at him. He walked in from the elevator bay at the far end of the lobby, head tilted, phone in hand. She lit up, bright and familiar, and walked straight to him. Then she kissed him, on the lips, full, soft, not rushed, and he kissed her back. My stomach dropped. My lunch nearly slipped out of my hands. I didn't even feel the tulips fall. At first I thought maybe it was some mix-up, some crazy, horrible misunderstanding. But then she spoke, brushing something off his lapel. "Let's go home, babe. I'm starving." Home? I slid quickly behind a nearby column, pulse thudding in my ears, brain trying to make sense of what I'd just seen. Was she a coworker? A joke? A dare? No, that kiss wasn't for fun. And she was wearing a ring, not the same as mine, but still, left hand, bold solitaire, impossible to miss. I felt this heat rise in my chest, years of trust suddenly boiling into betrayal. My heart screamed at me to storm across the lobby, throw the lunch at his feet, demand answers. But instead, I stayed quiet, because something told me this wasn't the whole story. I didn't confront them. I followed them instead. I trailed them from a distance, close enough to not lose them, far enough to not be seen. They walked side by side, like nothing was wrong, like I didn't exist. They turned the corner into a cozy little street cafe, rustic brick patio, string lights still up from summer, chalkboard menu with cheerful doodles. One of those places where couples pretend they're in Paris for 45 minutes. I slipped in a few seconds after them, tugged my sleeves up to cover my shaking hands. I ordered a black coffee, even though I hate black coffee, and took the table furthest from them, back in the corner, half shadow, partial view. They looked married. No, not hooking up behind your back married. They looked argue about throw pillows married, share laundry detergent married. She was laughing about something he said. He rubbed her shoulder the way he used to rub mine when I was stressed about bills. I pulled out my phone, pretending to scroll. My ears were working overtime. She said, "I can't believe our anniversary's next week already." Our anniversary. Then a laugh. "This is the first year I didn't forget the date. You should be proud of me." He leaned in, low voice. "I'm always proud of you." I nearly gagged on my coffee. And then, and I swear this on everything I know, she got up to get napkins, smiled at the barista, and said, "My husband's a coffee snob. If his espresso's not perfect, he'll follow Yelp review in his sleep." My husband. Not boyfriend, not partner, Not even fiance, husband, like legally tied to kind of husband. I blinked. My brain couldn't form a single thought that made this logical. This wasn't a fling. It wasn't some shadowy affair with midnight texts and deleted call logs. This was a built life. Mortgage conversations and weekend grocery lists and holiday traditions. And somehow I was the other woman to someone living in my reality. What I did next, that changed everything.
By the time I got home, my heartbeat had slowed, but my thoughts were sharper than ever. No more crying in bathrooms, no screaming matches on sidewalks. If Eric could build lies this carefully, then so could I. I didn't say a word when he walked through the door that evening, just smiled like nothing was off, like I hadn't watched him feed lies to another woman in a cozy cafe 30 minutes away, like I hadn't seen her kiss him, like I wasn't carrying the crumbling pieces of our life in my purse alongside a now cold sandwich. I told him I wanted to make dinner that night, something special. Candlelight, that old playlist we used to love, the works. He smiled, kissed my forehead, said he'd go shower. While the water ran, I printed out 3 photos of them I'd snapped from my phone, grainy but unmistakable. One showed their hands clasped across the table, that God-forsaken scarf wrapped perfectly around her neck. I hid them gently, one in his sock drawer, one under his plate, and one taped to the inside of the bedroom closet door, right where he'd see it when he got dressed in the morning. Then came the burner phone. I created a fake contact using a throwaway number, sent Maya a message. "Hey girl, saw you and your hubby today. You should ask him about last year's tulips." I signed it anonymously and hit send, just enough to light a fuse. And what was I doing while the flames quietly climbed toward the gasoline? Setting the table, folding napkins, pouring 2 glasses of wine like a doting wife who had no idea her marriage was built on fiction. It wasn't guilt anymore. It was cold, quiet clarity. If Eric thought he could juggle 2 lives, well, let's see how well he plays when the rules start changing. The doorbell rang at 6:47 p.m. I opened it with the biggest smile I've worn in years. "Maya, right? Wife to my husband?" She blinked, confused. "I'm sorry, what?" Just then, the front door opened behind us. Eric stepped in, juggling a bag of takeout. He froze mid-step. His eyes darted between us, tulips still on the table, Maya in the doorway, me in perfect posture. He knew. In that instant, he knew. Maya's voice cracked. "Eric, what's going on?" I stepped aside and waved her in. "Dinner's ready. Since we're all married to each other, why not eat like family?" Eric dropped the bag, literally. His mouth opened but nothing came out except a pathetic, breathless, "Wait, this isn't what it looks like." "Really?" Because from over here, it looks exactly like adultery with a side of double mortgage fraud. She turned to him, voice rising. "You said your divorce was finalized. You said she was crazy." He reached for her hand. She pulled away. That's when I pulled out the photos, one by one, like evidence in a courtroom. This was Tuesday. Cafe on Vine. Ring visible. Then I played the audio I'd recorded from the cafe. "Let's go home, babe," followed by his stupid chuckle. Eric's face drained of every color. Maya burst into tears. And me? I just stood there. Silent. Steady. Because heartbreak doesn't always scream. Sometimes it smirks. She looked up at me, mascara smudging at the corners. "You didn't know either?" I shook my head, and for the first time all day, we both knew exactly how the other felt. 2 women, same lie, different sides of it, now standing on the same one. Eric shoved the last of his things into a duffel bag, while Maya and I sat at opposite ends of the couch, not talking much, just breathing through it. He didn't say goodbye, just slammed the door like a child caught cheating on a test. Maya looked over, eyes still red. I'm so sorry. I had no idea. I nodded. I know, me either. We weren't friends. We weren't enemies. We were survivors of the same storm, watching the wreckage settle around us. She reached out gently. I let her. I feel so stupid, she whispered. I smiled. Just a little. We're not stupid. We're smart enough to walk away. And right then, it clicked. We were never the problem. He doesn't get to define my worth. Not anymore. 2 women, 1 liar, and 1 unforgettable lesson. If you have to wonder which wife you are, you're not the only one being lied to. I buy myself flowers now. White tulips every Friday. Not because I'm waiting for someone to notice, but because I finally do. I started therapy the week after Eric left. It's messy. Healing always is. But I'm learning how to choose myself without feeling guilty, and how to trust that gut feeling I ignored for too long. If something feels off, don't silence that voice. That whisper in your stomach, it knows things your heart's not ready to hear yet. Listen anyway. And if you've ever been in my position, blindsided, broken, betrayed, just know you're not alone. You're stronger than the lie. You're bigger than the version of yourself they tried to shrink. What would you do? Let me know in the comments, because I promise, someone else needs to hear your story too. Because in the end, the lie wasn't that he loved someone else. It's that he loved no one at all.